Mr. President, thank you so much for taking my question. President Biden has said that he would respond if cyber attacks from Russia do not stop. I'm curious, what did he tell you? Did he make any threats? And a quick follow-up, if I may, sir. The list of your political opponents who are dead, prisoned, or jailed is long. Alexei Navalny's organization calls for free and fair elections, an end to corruption. But Russia has outlawed that organization, calling it extremist. And you have now prevented anyone who supports him to run for office. So my question is, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Значит, еще раз повторю то, что уже сказал
Well, let me just reiterate what I've just said on the so-called, quote-unquote, foreign agents
и по людям,
and people
которые себя позиционируют как несистемная позиция.
People who portray themselves as the non-systemic opposition. I think I've responded to your CNN colleagues. But I think these are the rules of the game, so I have to repeat it when I repeat it to your question. Okay, fine by me, I can do it.
Согласно которому США
The United States
объявили
has a
о том,
law
что будут поддерживать определенные
that
политические
spells out
организации
that
в
the
России.
United States will support specific
В то же время
entities and organizations in Russia.
объявили Российскую
At the
Федерацию
same time,
врагом.
the Russian Federation
Публично сказали
was
о том,
labeled as an
что
adversary.
будут
They
сдерживать
went on the
развитие
record
России.
and said publicly
Вопрос.
that they
Какие же
will stymie
организации
the development of Russia.
политические?
It
Соединенные
begs the
Штаты и
question,
другие
what
участники
kind of
западного
organizations
сообщества должны
the
поддерживать
United
Россию,
States and the West
если они при этом
will
еще
be
им и платят?
supporting and pay them
Ясно, что мы так же,
if
как
we
американцы
are
в
an
30-х годах,
adversary. It's quite
объявили
clear that,
иностранными агентами.
like the United States back
Но
in the
работа
30s,
не
we've
запрещена,
labeled them as foreign
они
agents, but
могут
we haven't
работать.
banned them. I mean, they
Объявление
can operate, all
иностранным
right.
агентом не прекращает деятельность.
If you're labeled
той или
as a
иной
foreign
организации.
agent,
Если
that does not
организация
preclude
имеет
you
экстремистский
from
характер,
operating
это
in the country.
другая
Well,
история.
if it's an
И вот та
extremist
организация, о которой
organization,
вы сказали,
that's
публично
a whole new
призывала к
story,
массовым
whole different
беспорядкам.
story. The organization is in question publicly has called for riots and public disorder. It has openly instructed people on how to make Molotov cocktails, so to use them against the law enforcement. It called for the participation of underage persons in riots. America has just recently went through grievous chain of events after a certain African-American individual was killed and an entire movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, appeared. I'm not going to go into details, I'll spare you them. But we've seen pogroms, we've seen, looting and violations and riots. We sympathize with the Americans, but we do not want for the same thing to happen on the Russian soil, and we'll do anything possible to prevent this. And it's not about me fearing anything. If you want to think that, can you please give the mic?
You didn't answer my question, sir. If all of your political opponents are dead, in prison, poisoned, doesn't that send a message that you do not want a fair political fight?
Значит, по поводу того, кого убьют или в тюрьму бросят. Вот с политическими требованиями люди вошли в Конгресс США.
People went into U.S. Congress with political demands. 400 people are now facing criminal charges.
Им грозит тюремное заключение до 20, а может быть до 25 лет. Их объявляют внутренними террористами. Обвиняют в ряде других.
They are being accused of many other things.
70 было арестовано сразу.
70 people were arrested right there on the spot.
До сих пор находятся под арестом.
30 of them are still arrested. On what
Никто
grounds? Not quite clear.
из официальных властей
I mean,
штатов нас об
none of
этом не
the
информируют.
official authorities from the states are informing us about
Одну из
it.
участниц, там
So we
погибло
don't know
несколько человек,
that.
одну из участниц полицейский просто
One
застрелил на
of the
месте.
participants, a woman, was
При этом
shot
она
dead on the
не
spot.
угрожала полицейскому оружию.
She was not threatening with,
Во многих
with arms
странах
or
происходит
anything.
все то же самое, что у нас.
Why am I bringing this up? Many people are facing the same things as we do. And I am stressing this. We are sympathizing with the United States, but we do not want the same thing
Давайте еще
repeating
буквально
here.
пару вопросов, потому что дальше... Would you mind repeating the question again? That we are preparing to hack what kind of facilities?
No, the report today is that Russia is preparing to give or to offer to Iran satellite technology which will enable Iran to target military, to make military targets.
No, we don't have that kind of programs with Iran. No, it's just nonsense all over again. Yet again, we have cooperation plans with Iran, including military and technical cooperation, and all of this fits the framework of the decisions that were agreed upon in our program in regard to Iran's nuclear program in the context of UN decisions, together with our partners in the preparation of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Actions, whereby at some point sanctions, including in the area of military and technical cooperation, should be lifted from Iran. We do have certain programs, but they all concern conventional weapons, if it gets that far. However, we haven't even gone to that stage yet. We don't even have any kind of real cooperation, even in the conventional weapons area. So if anybody is making something up regarding modern space-based technology, this is just plain fiction. This is just fake news. At the very least, I don't know anything about this kind of thing. Those who are speaking about it probably know more about it. It's just nonsense.
So presumably you'd agree that giving Iran satellite technology that might enable it to target US servicemen and women in places like Iraq, or to share that information with Hezbollah or the Houthi in Yemen so they could target Israel and Saudi Arabia, that giving Iran that kind of satellite technology would be dangerous?
Look, why are we talking about problems that don't exist? There is no subject for discussion. Somebody has invented something, has made something up. Maybe this is just a bogus story in order to limit any kind of military and technical cooperation with Iran. I will say once again, this is just some fake information that I have no knowledge about. For the first time, I'm hearing about this information from you. We don't have this kind of intentions, and I'm not even sure that Iran is even able to accommodate this kind of technology. This is a separate subject, a very high-tech subject. Yes, indeed, we don't rule out that cooperation with many world nations and us is possible in space, but probably everybody knows very well our position in terms that we are categorically against space militarization altogether. We believe that space should be free from any and all kinds of weapons located in near-Earth orbits. That is why we don't have this kind of plans, or any plans, especially concerning the transfer of technology up the level that you have just described.
So let's move on to your summit with President Biden. The context for the summit is that he is meeting with the G7, a group that you used to belong to, with NATO, with European leaders. President Biden has defined his first trip to Europe as, quote, about rallying the world's democracies. He views you as a leader of autocrats who is determined to undermine the liberal democratic order. Is that true?
Well, I don't know. Somebody presents it from a certain perspective. Someone else looks at the development of the situation and at yours truly in a different manner. All of this is being offered to the public in a way that is found to be expedient for the ruling circles of a certain country. The fact that President Biden has been meeting up with his allies, there is nothing unusual about it. There is nothing unusual about a G7 meeting. We know what G7 is. I have been there on numerous occasions. I know what the values are in that forum. When people get together and discuss something, it's always good. It's better than not to get together and not to discuss. Because even in the context of G7, there are matters that require ongoing attention and consideration because there are differences. Strange as it may seem, there may be differences in assessments of international events on the international arena and among themselves. Very well then, let them get together and discuss it. As far as NATO, I have said on many occasions,